So most people think that life is shaped by what happens to them. And whether they think that or not, that's how a lot of them live, right? But it's not. Life is shaped by meaning. And this isn't like follow me here because this isn't your typical, YouTube video about this. The meaning you assign to something is what determines how you feel, how you act, ultimately who you become. Because here's the truth. Two people can go through the exact same situation and live completely different lives because of it. One person gets rejected and thinks, I'm not good enough. Another person gets rejected and thinks, this wasn't my match, keep going. So, same event, completely different identity formed from it, and nothing about the event changed, only the meaning did. So, that's the part that I feel like most people miss because we as creatures, we're creatures of evolution, right? The events, the circumstances, those are the variables that do not change. We are the variables that change. And I realize that life becomes really miserable for people when the formula is you have the variable that can change, and it's expecting the variable that cannot change to change. And this is where I find like what suffering is, right? You have the thing that can change and is not, and then you have the thing that can't change, and the thing that can change is expecting the thing that can't change to change. And that creates a lot of psychological friction. And that is a state I am very, very familiar with. I have lived there to such an extreme degree for 28, 29, 30 years. I say that because I started really getting into work that really helped me reduce the friction I was experiencing psychologically during that time frame, and I'm still involved in it. But it's the meaning, right? Like we don't suffer because of what happens. We suffer because of what we decide it means. What we decide what happened means. And like when you truly, truly can understand this and truly see it, something you become, in my opinion, the most powerful thing you can, right? If meaning is something you create, then meaning is something you can change. So the question no longer is like, why did this happen to me? The question becomes, what am I making this mean about myself? And I've heard people say that, like, why is this happening to me? I've rarely ever, if ever, heard, what am I making this mean about myself? Because your brain is like always interpreting, always assigning stories, always building identity from those stories. And most of the time, you might not even be aware you're doing it. You're just experiencing it, whether you like it or you don't like it, right? We're just a much bigger fan of the story when we do like it. But it's like as long as you're playing the game of life with that variable of storytelling, you'll always be at the will of good and bad stories. Not good or bad stories, but good and bad stories because storytelling goes both ways. So, most of the time, like if you could pause, you can realize that you're not actually acting or reacting to reality. You're reacting to your interpretation of reality. That's insane. Like you're not trapped by events. Because think about it. If you were, think about it. If humans were static, like non-changing, such as the events that can't change, then humans would never evolve. Like we would still be cavemen. We would still be the first iteration of humanity. But we're not. So that you should be able to defer from that we can change. And I realize that the most miserable human beings are the ones that think they can't because they're waiting for the thing that can't change to change. So, but that's why you suffer. Like, but you're not trapped by the events, but they think they are. You're only attached to the meaning that you gave them. And again, you created it. So meaning can literally be rewritten. So you don't ever need a new life. You just got to give the meaning that you're giving life a new meaning. And when you change that meaning, you don't just change how you feel. You you completely change your life, and that's what's happened to me in about the past 2 to 3 years.